Putrajaya says the National Audit Department and the MACC will no longer be under the Prime Minister's department's purview but Parliament's instead. This means the Prime Minister and the government will no longer have the power to meddle in the Auditor General Office and anti-graft investigations. PM Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad says Parliament will set up a select committee to oversee the two bodies, as well as other anti-graft agencies as soon as possible. This committee will be in charge of appointments and dismissals and also determine the budget allocation for these bodies. Mahathir's announcement comes hours after Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng clarified that the shortfall in the GST refund trust account stood at 19.4 billion ringgit and not 17.9 billion ringgit. Lim, who maintains that the previous administration had misappropriated the money, said one of his officers had misplaced a decimal point in reporting the figure last week. This means the amount of money that's left in the government's trust fund stands at 148.6 million ringgit and not 1.486 billion. Putrajaya will maintain highway tolls, at least until the country's economy and fiscal position improve. Works Minister Barubian told Parliament that the government just cannot afford to abolish the tolls as promised in its GE14 manifesto. This is because making all highways toll-free in one go would cost 400 billion ringgit, so the plan will have to be put on hold indefinitely. Baru said what the new government will do is look at other options that may be more practical in order to reduce the cost of living in Malaysia. In response, Bian Jelebu MP Datuk Jalaluddin Alias questioned PH's rationale of making the promise in the first place. He adds that the government should have at least revealed which concessionaires it is in talks with and the progress of these discussions. Baru replied that PH did not have a clear indication of the government's finances before taking over Putrajaya. He said the matter is currently being studied and reviewed. Bank Negara is expected to roll out a special housing loan scheme tailored for first home buyers from the low to middle income group. MOF says the central bank is in the process of finalising a new financing scheme with several banks, National Mortgage Corporation Chagamas and the Housing and Local Government Ministry. The features of the scheme include more flexible lending guidelines for first home buyers and a lower overall cost of ownership, including stamp duty and insurance. It would also require applicants to attend financial counselling to ensure they receive adequate financial advice before taking up a housing loan. Prudent lending policies are commonly blamed for Malaysia's property woes. However, some property analysts point out that lending requirements are already quite lenient. They say the issue isn't access to financing, it's just that houses simply aren't affordable. Malaysia Airports Holdings says more than 75% of its network of 39 airports in Malaysia is not commercially viable. The airport's operator says these airports are managed on a cross-subsidization model which has involved a huge outlay of both capital and operational expenses. MAHB added that it had been supporting the growth of airlines operating in Malaysia throughout the years, with its low charges and incentive programs. It said that in the case of the low-cost airlines operating at its airports, differentiated charges, excluding the incentives, had provided these carriers over 1.5 billion ringgit in market advantage. The company was responding to a Malay Mail report which was published last week. The report, among others, insinuated that MAHB is able to charge whatever it likes when it comes to airport taxes and other fees because it is a monopoly. MAHB said today that certain facts in the report were incorrect and the aeronautical charges are entirely determined by regulatory authorities. MAHB operates 5 international airports, 16 domestic airports and 18 short takeoff and landing ports. Petronas has acquired a 30% participating interest in the Rufisk offshore Profonde block, marking its entry into Senegal. The oil and gas giant, through its subsidiary PC Senegal, recently signed a farm-in agreement with Total E&P Senegal SAS, a subsidiary of Total. Total will maintain operatorship with 60% equity alongside Senegal's state-owned hydrocarbon firm Petronas, which holds the remaining 10%. According to Petronas, the Rufisque offshore profound block covers an area of 10,357 square kilometers offshore Senegal with a water depth ranging from 100 meters to 3,000 meters. It is located in the vicinity of recent significant oil and gas discoveries in blocks namely St. Louis Profound and Kea Profound and Rufisque Sangoma Offshore Deep. Exploration drilling activities will start next year once the 3D seismic data is interpreted and a prospect identified and evaluated. Petronas says the farm-in is aligned with its upstream strategy to grow its exploration portfolio in West Africa.